Hi, it's Jonathan from Core Walking, and this is Super Kitty, my assistant. I'm going to make a very simple video about the knee and the knee joint. So I'm going to use lotus pose as a demonstration. So the knee is a hinge joint, but not a strict hinge joint. Your ankle is a strict hinge joint, but the knee is a hinge joint with some play in it, or else we couldn't walk or run or do lotus like we're about to show you. So the thing is that in general, we want to use the knee as a hinge, especially in a lot of yoga poses. So first we're looking at half lotus. If I want to go into half lotus, I'm going to pull my leg in, my heel in as close to my butt as possible, and close off this hinge joint. So we have two ligaments. There's on the inner and outer knee, the medial collateral and the lateral collateral ligaments. And if I pull the foot in like this, I have closed off the hinge joint and those ligaments are balanced in length. So then I'm going to keep that hinge closed and I'm going to bring my foot into half lotus and I maintain that balance in those two ligaments. But let's say I wanted to go to full lotus. When I bend the left leg in, there is no way for me to go to full lotus without lifting the foot up and bringing torque to the knee joint. Torque means that the medial collateral ligament is going to shorten, the lateral collateral ligament is going to lengthen, which is a fine thing because I can do lotus because my hips are open. If your hips are not open and you try to go to lotus pose, what's going to happen is when the hip doesn't rotate, right, the ball at the top of the femur, as it sits into its socket, it needs to rotate so that I can then bring the foot up. But if it doesn't rotate, it's going to ask way more torque of these two ligaments, and that is why ultimately it can lead to knee pain, knee damage. And to be honest, while I do lotus, I love lotus, my hips love lotus, I no longer teach full lotus pose. I teach half lotus a lot. So I'm going to give you a simple description or a demonstration of how you can feel this. So you can put your fingers, you're going to use one hand, you can put your fingers on the inner and outer knee. You might need to play around to find these two ligaments or the feeling of them. So we'll start on the hinged version. If I pull this left knee in and I find those ligaments with my right hand, my right knee in, if I find those ligaments with my right hand and I bring the right ankle over the left thigh, I have moved into half lotus and I have not changed the relationship of the ligaments underneath my fingers. And it's better to feel this if you do change the relationship. So I'm going to pull that left leg in, find those two ligaments with my left hand, and you should feel when you pull the left foot up into half lotus, the medial collateral ligament is going to shorten, the lateral collateral ligament is going to lengthen. Again, that is a normal process for the knee. It's only really a problem if the hip doesn't rotate enough to allow for it to do that easily. And that, in yoga, in terms of not only lotus, but pigeon pose, which is a pose I teach a lot, one of the reasons that people get knee pain in pigeon pose is because you're torquing the knee too much repetitively. And a lot of this stuff is about repetitive stress. Do anything too often. So if the hip is tight and you overly torque these ligaments, shortening the medial collateral, lengthening the lateral collateral, over time it can add up to trouble. So hopefully you felt that from here where the ligaments are even as I just bend the leg in, but then when I lift that foot up into the full lotus, the medial collateral shortens, the lateral collateral lengthens, and that is a healthy torque for people with open hips and a natural torque for everybody, but it's also why we can run into trouble if the hips are too tight. All right, hopefully that made sense. Have a great day.